Hey there, everyone. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Rudd's Room. This will be the third District 33 legislative update. Recording this on January 29th, should be out on January 30th. Again, I am doing these as a service to the people of District 33 and anyone in the state of Indiana who's interested in what's going on at the State House and what legislation is going through, what's being worked on, what the status of that legislation is. So that's what I'm going to be presenting today. We've had another week in the Indiana General Assembly. A lot more stuff going on. This one's going to be more focused statewide because I'll go over briefly what's going on with District 33 Representative JD Prescott, what he's been working on, and what's been going on with his bills. And then I'm going to go into some other bills throughout the state that I just find interesting and you may find interesting as well. These are just some of my ideas, some things that I'm interested in. If there's anything you'd like me to talk about or any bills or just a topic you want me to see if there's any bills on them, I can try to do that. Leave it in the comments. Say, hey, are there any bills pertaining to Second Amendment? Are any bills pertaining to this or that in education and taxes? Or if you have a specific one that you're looking at that you just like me to talk about that maybe you like or maybe you don't like, just let me know and I can do that. That's not a problem. I'm bringing up the energy this episode. Apparently, it's funny when you record these shows. It's kind of weird to watch them back yourself. It's like I don't know if you've ever recorded your own voice and then you listen to your own voice and it just sounds weird and different to you. It's kind of hard to watch them, but I did watch this one and got some feedback that I should maybe bring up the energy a little bit. So I'm all hopped up on Cadbury cream eggs. Those are out now, so I'm ready to go. Okay, so let's get into this. Again, I'm not a legislator. I'm not a politician. I'm just a political commentator who's just trying to dig into these things. It can be a little intimidating, a little harrowing to work through the Indiana General Assembly website, which is what I've been using primarily for all this information. That can be a little harrowing. So I'm just kind of trying to package this and make this a little easier to digest. I'm also going to try to make this video might be a little bit shorter than the previous ones. I'm not going to linger on stuff too long, but I'm going to try to get you some useful information pretty quickly. So let's get into it. So I wanted to start with, so the last 2 weeks I'd been going over all the pieces of legislation that District 33 Representative JD Prescott was working on, the status of those, kind of gave a breakdown of my thoughts on those bills. So I'll go ahead and get back into those real quick and kind of give you an update. It'll be pretty simple, really. Of all these bills, allow me to share so that you can see this as well. Okay, and I kind of want it this way. Okay, so of the 10 bills, it's 9 bills and one House joint resolution, I believe. They've all been assigned to a committee. So every bill will be assigned to a committee after it's been entered into the IGA website. From there, they then schedule a committee hearing. And if it gets voted yay from the committee, then it goes on to the House floor for House bills, at least, to be voted on. If it passes the House, it goes over to the Senate. There's lots of things that can happen during those processes, but that's the basic hierarchy right now. So right now, these bills have all been entered into the IGA website, all been assigned bill numbers, and they've all been assigned to committees. From there, they need to schedule them hearings if they want to hear them. Sometimes they never get heard and they just die that way. It's like, nope, we got a lot of things to work on. This one's just not important enough. We're not going to deal with it. Moving on with our day. So we went over these 10. Of these 10, the only one that has been scheduled a committee hearing so far is House Bill 1142, Law Enforcement Recordings. This one is scheduled. It is in the Committee on Government and Regulatory Reform. It is scheduled for a hearing on January 31st at 10:30. We'll have a hearing, so that'll be Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. I'll have a hearing. If everyone votes for it, everything looks good, or gets the majority of the votes in the committee, they'll move it on for a floor vote. people will be able to comment on it, et cetera, et cetera. So right now, that's the only bill that has been scheduled a committee hearing now. And this is that one that was talking about the direct costs the state or local agency may charge for providing a copy of law enforcement recording, includes labor costs to obscure non-disclosable information. So this is basically that one where if you want to acquire a body cam recording from a police officer and say there's minors or something like that, or maybe someone's personal information, like maybe you needed I don't know, a license plate or something, you need to obscure that. Then someone there at, say, the sheriff's office or police department has to blur that because they can't release that information yet. Well, this is saying that there's going to be a new fee on there basically for them to do that obscuring. This is a bill that we're not fond of. The bastards of politics are not fond of. This one is a direct response, as far as we can tell, in our opinion. A direct response to Joshua's civic duty requesting body cam footage and them trying to charge him for this. The law does not say that. This House bill basically acknowledges that Joshua's civic duty Kimbrell is correct because now they're trying to, or JD Prescott's trying to change the law. There's a lot of arguments against this one. I talked about it in the last video. We have a lot of arguments against it. It's just kind of ridiculous that this person's already being paid by the government. I don't know what they're wanting to do with this additional fees they're charging, but it seems like it's just a way to discourage people from requesting this information and make it a lot harder for people to get it, which I'm not fond of. I don't think this bill should go anywhere, but it just may. He's got 3 co-authors on there. Great. Wonderful. Next, House Joint Resolution 1. This one is also going forward. It's not a House bill, it's a House Joint Resolution. He has a co-author on this one. I always felt like this one would go forward anyway. There wasn't really a question of that. It's pretty straightforward. This is the bill where they're removing the superintendent of public instruction from the list of office holders who shall discharge the powers and duties of the governor if the office of the governor and lieutenant governor are both vacant. So it's just taking the superintendent of public instruction out of the line of succession for the governorship. Not a big deal. I think everybody's cool with it. I'm not sure who handed him this bill. I'm guessing that he didn't come up with this, that somebody said, hey, this is something that needs to be done. You don't have a lot of bills passed. You can have this one. Would be my guess. That's just a guess. But I'm not sure gave that to him. It's also worth noting quite a few of these bills he's had some like co-authors added on to. For example, 1142. Let me go back to this one again, to bill actions. On the 12th, after the first reading, there was a couple co-authors added, Bartels and Gore. Usually, the thing to know about a co-author is it doesn't really mean a whole lot. Basically, it's like saying, hey, I support this. It doesn't mean you wrote the bill. It doesn't even necessarily mean you necessarily put a lot of work into it or offered any language to it, anything like that. It's just saying, this is going to pass. I support it, and I want my name on it, so I can kind of take credit for it too. It's kind of like that person when you're in school and you have that group project, and you go to present it, and you have that group member who shows up who hasn't been there the whole semester and didn't really do any work on it. It's kind of rude because this isn't necessarily the case, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's fun. And then they show up on that last day and they're like, oh, this project looks pretty good. I think I'll put my name on that one so I can get some credit for it too. That's often the case. Usually if someone co-authors from right away, like from day one, usually they probably do have more of a hand in it than just being a supporter. Usually they probably have kind of pushed it. And maybe it could even be as far as maybe it's a bill that they had and they said, listen, I've already maxed out on the number of bills I can propose, but I really want this one to go through. Do you want it? You can put your name on it. I'll just put myself as a co-author and you can kind of have it. That's my understanding. Obviously, I'm not in the state house, so that's my best guess in my opinion. So I don't want to act like I know everything and that's necessarily the case. But that's what I've been told from people who've been in the legislature, who's been a legislator. So that's my understanding. I could definitely see that for my representative doing something like that. And one more that I wanted to note, House Bill 1516. So I went over this one last week, and I gave JD a lot of credit for this one. He co-authored this with freshman Representative Corey Criswell. He's brand new. He is his first term. So this was the one I was talking about last week. Tasked the Commission for Higher Education, the Department of Education, and the Department of Workforce Development to collect and compile information concerning post-secondary education, career and technical education, workforce qualifications, workforce earnings, and workforce debt. They need to make an interactive website known as the Student Horizon Dashboard to provide public access to certain collected and compiled information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought to myself, and I think I said last week, this sounds like a good idea. I mean, more data is always helpful. Like more transparency is great. I wish more representatives realized transparency in other aspects is great, but giving people this information, I'm definitely cool with it. That's great. That's a great idea. So I was thinking, I'll give him credit. That's actually a good idea. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, if that's such a great idea, why haven't we done something like that yet? Well, let me get this set up for you here real quick, and I can answer that question real quickly. Make sure I'm sharing. Where am I? I'm doing real great here. Because we have something like that. It is called the Indiana Career Explorer. And it does a lot of these things that they're asking to create a whole new website for. So I was just looking through this briefly. It talks about high demand careers. You can go over here to career exploration, look at industry and careers. I was looking at this earlier. So let's say STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You can click on this. It tells you average salaries, the education required. So here's for architectural and engineering managers, statisticians, master's degree, this average salary. And you can go here to look at full career path. So let's look at engineering managers. If I can get this to work. So we got salary breakdowns, tells the entry, mid, expert level, average, what the hourly and annual salaries are. It's got projected jobs, job openings through 2028, degree recommendations. It'll tell you universities to go to for a 2-year, 4-year, other. You can click here to go to that program, Purdue University Fort Wayne, where all the best people go to school. You can view that program there. So we have a website. I haven't explored this fully in depth. Like I'm not an expert on this website at all. But to me, it looks like it's doing a lot of those things that this bill's recommending. So I was kind of positive on that bill, saying I'd like that one to pass. At this point, it's redundant, kind of a waste of money, kind of a waste of time. Sorry to put it that way, but maybe this website might have some weaknesses. Maybe we need to address some things and kind of look into improving it if there are gaps in the data, any weaknesses like that. I don't see the point in creating a whole new website. So HB 1516, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Knowing that this other website exists, I don't think it needs to go anywhere with this website existing. So that's my update on that one. So those were the 3 bills for District 33 that kind of had some action or kind of some new information on them that I wanted to address this week. So I would like to address something else really quickly. I have mentioned previously that I'm doing this. Part of the reason I'm doing these videos is because Representative JD Prescott doesn't really hold town halls, public town halls, or they're difficult to find, difficult to access. And he doesn't do social media, all these things. It's kind of hard to get a hold of him and get a legislative update. Well, I did get a response from him this last week. So, in all fairness, I will admit that. And he did tell me about a town hall that will be occurring this Saturday. That's February 4th. So, I'm going to attempt to attend that. I asked him if there were any public town halls, and the one he described to me is one that they held last year that was private. It was invite only. I asked him if this one was public, and probably 3 or 4 days ago in an email, because that's what he was actually responding to. He hasn't been responding to any of our phone calls or He's been sending a voicemail and not calling back. So I've been doing email. I have gotten some responses from him. I can't get him to tell me if that one's public. I said, I asked you for a public one. You said this one, but I just want to verify it's public so I don't get kicked out or not let in. I'm going to attempt to show up. It would be nice to record it. I have a feeling that's going to be a big no. They're going to tell me no. It's on private property as far as I'm aware. So I think they'll try to shut me down and kick me out if I record. I will try, but if I get kicked out, it's going to not be great. I'd rather be in there to ask questions and offer my opinion. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try to do that this weekend. So yeah, he is holding a town hall. So I will give him credit for that. I don't know for a fact that it's public, but he told me about it. So that's good. The problem with these is that it's very often that they're just not advertised. They're not in the paper. He doesn't do social media. The people who are attending these don't promote them on their social medias. Social medias. Anyways, so it's really hard to find them. So it gives the impression of transparency when it's like, oh, well, I held like 4 town halls. Where? When? Who was there? So, case in point, there's an article in a local newspaper just this last week. I think the article's from Tuesday. I'm going to show that to you real quick. So, this is the News Gazette. And there was an article featured Prescott and Alexander give legislative update by Scott Schaefer, News Gazette features editor, January 24th, 2023. Look at those fellas. They look so excited to be there. On Saturday morning at the Farm Bureau office in Winchester, State Representative JD Prescott and State Senator Scott Alexander gave an update on recent legislative activity in the State House. So Scott Alexander is a freshman senator. This is his first term. So he's fairly new. You'll kind of see that as I read through the article, because I'm going to go through this article a little bit. So on Saturday morning, State Senator Scott Alexander and Representative JD Prescott spoke before a small crowd of Randolph County residents at the Farm Bureau office in Winchester to update them as to recent happenings they have been involved with at the state office. So this is interesting to me because I've been asking JD Prescott for months about town halls. He neglected to tell me about this one. Everything here is telling me this was a private event. This was not open to the public. This was not open to the people of Winchester. A small crowd at the Farm Bureau office. So this is going to be a Farm Bureau event. They tend to do these members only. That would also explain why it was a small crowd. There's no detail in here to tell us that. The article kind of just gives you this little bit of information. Doesn't really tell you what's going on. That's a little frustrating. There's a couple things that I'll go over that are a little frustrating in this article, but I'm going to keep going through this here. Alexander was elected in 2022, and thanks to some redistricting, is now the state senator representing Delaware and Randolph counties. It's a weird way to say that. Our previous state senator, Jeff Rotz, who's been in office since 2014, is now serving Wayne, Union, and Henry counties, as well as a portion of Franklin County. Alexander introduced himself briefly and stated that starting the day after he was elected, he began getting his feet underneath himself. He believes that his background in business and agriculture will be a tremendous aid as he takes on the awesome responsibility of serving the public, a responsibility he takes very seriously. So Scott Alexander was a previous, I believe, county council president. So he has some political experience. That's about the only thing you're going to hear regarding Scott Alexander in this entire article. It's kind of a long article. That's it. Basically, he's new. It tells us right here, it goes in the Senate a little bit. The 2023 legislative session is now underway, and Senate Republicans will be prioritizing fiscal responsibility, improving the state's mental and public health infrastructure, lowering healthcare costs, ensuring public safety, and protecting our data privacy. Those things all sound great. Okay, no real details. That's about all we got from the Senate side. So now on to Prescott. Prescott is working on several bills that address many issues. Among the things these bills hope to do is expand the successful READY program to continue record-breaking economic development statewide, ensure that our public retirement fund investment strategies remain focused on maximizing returns and not on political and social issues, supporting critical services and maintaining responsible reserves while making investments that deliver results, expand work-based learning opportunities in high schools, ensuring that individuals with mental health conditions receive treatment in hospitals and not jails, improving services for low-income women and children, and expanding affordable childcare and housing options, to name but a few. I need a drink of water after that mouthful. So this is interesting. All these things sound great. It sounds like this dude is super busy. But we've already gone over his bills in the last 2 episodes. Not a single thing mentioned in this paragraph is a bill that he is working on. As far as I can tell, none of these pertain to any of the bills he's co-authored either. So I don't know where all this came from, but it's nothing that he's working on. So I guess he's saying he's working on these things when he is not. So let's continue. Prescott also mentioned House Bill 1143, which we have talked about in here, which will make the Hoosier State our official nickname, recounting that the name Hoosier is in reference to Harry Hoosier, a black man who was one of the most eloquent speakers in Indiana during its early statehood. One of many stories surrounding the origins of the nickname. This was former Vice President Mike Pence's favorite explanation for the nickname, noted Prescott. Weird name drop there, like, hey y'all, I talked to Vice President Mike Pence, and he said this is his favorite. Or maybe he didn't talk to him. It's just weird. Anyways, Prescott has also authored a bill that would make probation officers state employees. That's true. There's also a bill coming up for a vote to ban abortions except under certain conditions, such as rape or danger to the mother's life. Is he going to support that? Is he going to oppose that? All it says is that it's coming up. So, okay. Good to know, I suppose. Another bill bans users from using government supplied devices to access certain websites such as TikTok, and opposes attacks on social media providers that have more than 1 million Indiana accounts. Another bill removes the state superintendent from the line of succession for governor. As I mentioned, that's not a bill. That is a House Joint Resolution. It says, blah, blah, blah. They listened to several comments, fielded questions. Final plans based on the April report. Hopefully it'll continue to remain in good shape. The budget's good. Hopefully it'll remain good. Prescott. So here's the part that really gets me. It's Prescott and Alexander plan on giving monthly legislative updates on the third Saturday of the month for the remainder of the legislative session. That's great. So they're going to hold those all the time. So where are they? These updates help to inform the public as to what is going on at the state level and allows the legislators to hear feedback from those that they represent and find out what it is that those whom they serve are concerned about. Cool. Where? When? How do we find those? Where do we go? Oh, okay. You're not going to tell us. So these aren't open to the public. They don't allow them to hear feedback from those they represent or to find out what it is that those whom they serve are concerned about. This is what kills me about these articles in these newspapers is they're so pandering and friendly to representatives. I wouldn't be surprised if Prescott himself didn't have a hand in final editing of this, because basically this last paragraph is a shot at what I've been saying on these videos, that he's not listening to people, that he's hiding, that he's not doing regular updates. But they made a point in the last paragraph of this to say that he's given so many updates, just so everyone knows. You don't get to know where they are. You don't get to know when they are, but he's doing them. So he's doing a good job. Stop criticizing him, Brandon. He's doing great. That's frustrating. So basically this article, it is good because it is letting us know that what JD is working on, a lot of these bills he is working on, he takes credit for a lot of stuff he's not working on, which is par for the course. Again, with JD Prescott, he likes to send out mailers and things like that, taking credit for other legislators' legislation just for voting on things. It's kind of how it is in politics. These people just want to promote themselves, more concerned about their own ego than doing the job. So that's all my comment on that, really. But there's that article. Okay. What else did I have for you? Oh, I have a couple bills now. Moving on from District 33. I can't move away from it. So we have one more bill that JD Prescott is signed on as a co-author. Allow me to find this. It's going to take me a second. I should have not lost that. I should have looked at this back when I was still looking at. Here we are. Let me share again. One more bill of interest to me. Okay. House Bill 1619. This was co-authored by JD Prescott. House Bill 1619 is lawful carry by state elected officials and staff. Digest permits a member of the General Assembly, professional staff of the General Assembly, and a state officer to carry a handgun within the state capitol building and on the property of the Indiana Government Center campus if the person is not prohibited from carrying a handgun by state or federal law. Don't know how I feel about this one. I don't necessarily oppose it. If you're able to legally carry, you're able to legally carry. My question comes in, do we really want to let, that's assuming that these people are all comment, do we want to let this guy carry a handgun around the state house? This guy who's improperly wearing his holster here. It's an in the pants holster that he's wearing on the outside. He clearly doesn't know what he's doing. He is legally allowed to carry. That's fine. That's a little scary to me. This guy pretends to be Second Amendment. He wants to look like knows what he's doing. It's a little weird to me. Maybe he doesn't need to carry in the state house. Maybe more competent people who've had some kind of training or know what they're doing. I'm okay with that. He has the right, I suppose. If they pass that law, he can. Makes me a little nervous. That's all I'm saying. So, I'm a sweetheart today. I'm glad I had all those Cadbury cream eggs because I'm bringing the heat today. Hopefully, I'm not gothed out today, as we mentioned on the last episode of the Bastards of Politics. There's a couple other bills I wanted to talk about real fast. I think I'll go ahead and pull them up on the IJ website again. I just closed it because I'm a smart fellow. But I need to pull this back up really quickly. It's not going to take me but a second. I already got it pulled up. I just need to share with you now. Here we go. So there's a couple bills that I'm interested in outside of District 33. Here's one that I really like, House Bill 1183. It's on straight ticket voting. This is authored by Democrat Representative Rita Fleming, co-authored by Edward Clare, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Claire is a Republican, okay? Rita is a Democrat. So we're authored by a Democrat, co-authored by a Republican. That's a little bit of nice reaching across the aisle there. That's good to see. So the digest of this one is, removes a voter's option to vote for all candidates of a political party or an independent ticket at one time. So straight ticket voting goes. In a general or municipal election. Repeals superseded statutes relating to straight ticket voting. So my understanding is this gets brought up from time to time, but nobody really wants it. The Republican Party in particular doesn't want this one because people will often just pull that straight ticket ballot. I think in some counties around our area, it's like 60% of the votes are straight ticket. So you'll have candidates on there who win on straight ticket alone. Like, it doesn't matter. The people don't necessarily know who they are. They don't care who they are. Maybe they do care, but they were in a hurry. They just pulled that straight ticket and just kept moving along. And we've got people winning office who really probably shouldn't hold office. The point of removing the straight ticket voting is you have to go look at every name and second guess and think to yourself, do I want to vote for this person just because they're Republican? Or do I actually know that other candidate and I'm okay with them and I want to vote for that person? I really like this idea. I think there's only 6 states that allow straight ticket voting. It's like Michigan, Kentucky, Indiana, Arkansas. I think I don't know all of them, but it's something like that. But I hate straight ticket voting. I mean, the parties love it because basically if they get someone excited about one candidate, that one candidate or the party itself, a basic message can carry all of their candidates through to election. But in reality, these candidates should be earning your vote. You should know who they are. They should be coming and talking to you. They should be informing you. They should be earning that vote. So I don't like straight ticket. We should. It takes more effort. It makes it harder to be lazy, but you actually look at them and you vote. I'd never vote straight ticket. I just never do it because I typically vote Republican. I always pull a Republican ballot in the primaries, but I never vote straight ticket. There's libertarian candidates who are far superior to some Republican candidates and Democrat candidates. There's Democrat candidates, they're superior to some of the Republicans because some of these Republicans, let's face it, you might be like, well, no, I agree with Republican values. Some of these Republicans are rhinos. They don't represent Republican values, but because they've got an R by their name and someone hits that straight ticket R, they get your vote, even though they're a rhino and they're not going to fight for the Republican values that you may hold. Same thing goes for Democrat. Maybe they don't hold the Democrat values. They call it dinos. I guess that's the thing. They don't hold the values that you represent. So it's good to really look at that and think through that before you pull the lever, before you hit that button. So House Bill 1183, please, if you're interested in this, you agree with me, try to promote that. You can do that by contacting, I should have looked into this first, but contacting your own representative, your senator, state senator, representative, letting them know that you support this. It doesn't have a hearing yet. Let's see here real quick. The committee chair, this is going to go to the Committee of House Elections and Apportionment, and I don't know who that chair is. Let's see if I can find this real quick for you. Yeah, I let you down. I'll try to put it in the comments or in the I'll try to put it in the comments or in the description below. But contact your representative at least if you're interested in this bill. Let them know you support it and you want them to support it, and then it needs to actually get a hearing in committee so that we can get this going through. I don't know that will. I think the party is going to fight it, especially with a super duper Republican majority. They benefit from it pretty well, so I don't see them supporting this, though. I think it would be great. So another one I'm interested in, House Bill 1117. This is authored by Representative Larissa Sweet. She is a freshman representative. She was a Liberty Defense candidate. I've met her before. She's a delight. Um, she's a delightful person. I don't know if she'll watch this, but she is sweet, Larissa Sweet. Oh God, she's probably okay. Now we get killed. Anyways, so she authored this bill. This provides that certain federal laws that infringe on the right to keep and bear arms are invalid, not recognized, and rejected, and shall not be enforced by Indiana. Specifies penalties and causes of action concerning a political subdivision or law enforcement agency that employs a law enforcement officer who enforces or attempts to enforce certain provisions or otherwise deprives a citizen of Indiana of particular constitutional rights or privileges, or to federal official or person who gives material aid to a federal official who knowingly enforces or attempts to enforce certain laws, specifies exemptions, makes findings, finds terms. I'll try to explain this one a little better. So Larissa Sweet has been doing a really great job of doing updates, kind of like this one, but she'll do them on Facebook. Maybe she's at the state house. She just got her phone and she says, hey, this is what I'm working on, guys. This is what's happening. Liberty Defense shares a lot of her things and kind of pushes for her bills. This one is favored by most Republicans. Democrats aren't big fans of it. But basically what it's saying is that if the federal law tries to go against the Second Amendment and they try to put forth a federal law, we can't use state dollars to enforce that law. So basically it's saying that Indiana is a sovereign state and that we aren't going to violate the Constitution just because the federal government's telling us to, because we'll see Biden periodically try to enforce, try to put forward these restrictions, these various restrictions on the Second Amendment. So executive orders and whatnot. So this is kind of pushing back against that. Democrats are kind of upset because I was watching a news report earlier that the Democrat chair in Allen County was upset, saying that this doesn't keep mentally unstable people from getting firearms, that it's endangering people. I think the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. I'm a big pro Second Amendment guy. There are logical steps that should be taken, but we shouldn't be violating people's Second Amendment rights. So just trying to protect that. If you support it, again, contact your representatives. If not, I guess contact your representatives and tell them. But this is an interesting one. We get a lot of these bills periodically regarding Second Amendment. Not sure where this one will go. Let's go ahead and look at actions real quick. Got some more co-authors. I don't think this has a hearing scheduled or anything yet. No, it does not. But if you would like to see it, again, contact your representatives. Okay, and I want to go over one additional. This is a Senate bill. I don't talk about a lot of those, so we'll look at Senate Bill 47. This is one that I did not really like. I was in opposition to this one. So this requires, Senate Bill 47 requires the Indiana Department of Health to release to certain individuals upon request a scannable barcode, QR code, or similar code linked to a document that contains the individual's information from the immunization data registry. Requires the State Department to provide the code to the individual no later than 14 days from request by the individual. This bill seems like one of those ones to me that's a slippery slope where we're going to end up creating these vaccination passes. Next thing you know, we're going to start enforcing those. Employers and businesses are going to start abusing them, saying that if you don't have one, you can't come into their business. I don't like it. So Hoosiers for Medical Liberty is a really great organization in Indiana. If you haven't heard of them, they're what do you want to call her? The CEO, Ashley Grogg, is awesome. She tracks all these things. She does a lot of legislative advocacy, does a lot of collecting this data, letting people know, informing everyone. And this is one that she pushed against. It was going to go through. She testified against this one, if I'm correct. I haven't seen the testimony yet. I need to watch that, actually, because I'm sure it's awesome. They have now dropped it so far. It is now not getting a hearing in committee, as far as I know. Let's double check this. I think they dropped it off the schedule. Yes. So they dropped it off the schedule. So the trick is now just to be aware. A lot of times when these things get dropped, they'll try to sneak them into another bill. Like maybe it'll pop up in a House bill or a vehicle bill, or they'll tack it onto something else. I don't want to see this one go through, so we will see what happens. So with that is my update for the week. This is January 29th for the Indiana General Assembly. We've still got a couple months left in this one. It's going to be fun. I'm going to try to attend that town hall this weekend and give you updates. Whatever comes out of that, I'll let you know. Otherwise, have a great week. Thank you for watching this episode of Rudd's Room. If you haven't done so yet, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified of new episodes. If you'd like to see additional content featuring Brandon Rudd, please tune in every Thursday for the live show, The Bastards of Politics, which features Christopher H. Bilbrey, Joshua Civic Duty Kimbrell, and myself. You can also check out the audio-only version of the episodes at thebastards.fireside.fm and anywhere podcasts can be found. Thanks again, and have a great day.